Hey everybody, hope and pray that you're doing well today as we come to our word from the word. And today, that word is remember. Remember. Wrapping up this week and actually wrapping up our prayers in Genesis as we've been just systematically going through. Wrapping this up, we're looking at Jacob. And he's actually pretty much on his deathbed. He's in his final moments, final days, and he is bringing his grandsons in front of him, and he is going to pray and bless them. So let's just jump right into our scripture today, Genesis chapter 48, and we're just going to look at verses 15 and 16. And this is the blessing that comes. And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has fed me all my life long to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil. Bless the lads. And he's talking about the grandkids. He says, let my name be named among them, and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Now, it's a lot going on here. And again, I encourage you to read this whole passage, the whole chapter. But basically, what happens here is Joseph brings his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. And Manasseh is the older. So he is the one to receive the quote unquote blessing, right? And so here, just kind of summarizing, you see he places his hands. Jacob is old, has a hard time seeing already. Scripture's already referred to his sight being bad. But he actually crosses his hands over and puts his hands opposite and basically puts his right hand blessing Ephraim instead of Manasseh. So he's blessing the younger of the two. And it's amazing how if you go back through Genesis, the world says that the older one, the firstborn should receive the blessing, and that's what culture said at this time. And so it's amazing how even you go back, right? God chose Abel, his sacrifice, over Cain's offering. He chose Isaac, the promised son, over Ishmael, the son kind of Abraham and Sarah and Hagar, of their kind of scheming there. He chooses Isaac over Ishmael. And then even Jacob himself, right? He was chosen over his older brother Esau. And then Joseph was chosen to be used and to receive this blessing over Reuben, who was the oldest. So here we see it again, Ephraim over Manasseh. But it's also interesting, as a lot of commentators have pointed out, if you go through and at the time of these patriarchs, at the time of their death, it's amazing what they remember and what they focus on. And that's kind of what I wanted our wrapping up Genesis to be thinking about. What is it that you remember about what God's done for you? Where is your focus? And one of these, it's not to get morbid and say, okay, well, we're not promised tomorrow, so, we need to act like we're on our deathbed. No, that's not to the extent that I'm talking. But at the same time, we're not promised tomorrow. So what are you thankful for and reflecting on today that God has already done for you in the past? Now, it's one thing, especially here, that God has revealed to these men that when their final days were approaching, and I know you've seen this as well, that God prepares people for that moment a lot of times. And it's amazing that at his time of death, Abraham was worried about getting a wife for his son Isaac. At Isaac, when he was, his days were dwindling on down, what was he worried about? He was worried about getting a good meal. But here we see that Jacob, he wants to bring in his son. Basically, he adopts his grandsons. They end up taking the roles of two of his wicked sons, of Jacob's wicked sons, essentially, for their sin at Shechem. They kind of take their place. So he wants to bless the grandsons, Ephraim and Manasseh. He wanted to tell them and recall what God had done. Did you catch it when he was praying there? The God who has fed me all the days of my life. A lot of translations say that he's the God who has shepherded me all the days of my life. He's guided me. He's shown me everything, every place that I should go, everything that I should do. Now, even in that, if Jacob was to go on and talk about this, he would say, admittedly, that there was plenty of times that he didn't do what God had called him to do. He didn't fully obey. And if you or I are to go back and look at what God has blessed us with and how God has brought us to where we are today, it's not always because of our obedience. A lot of times we had to take that long, winding course to get where we are today. But if we look back, we remember that our sin is what got us off course. But the grace, mercy, love of God, and the forgiveness of God is what got us to where we are today. And see, that's what we need to remember. And even in our prayers, we need to take those moments and just stop. And, we get so focused on praying and asking for things for the future and even asking for things for now. But when's the last time that you prayed a blessing to God? A blessing of thanksgiving, saying, God, thank you for what you've done. Thank you as I remember everything, every season, every good time and every bad time, God, that you've brought me through. So I'll just simply leave you with this question today. What will you choose to remember today? God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.